what advice would you give for someone who is fearful? And when we met in person, we talked about, all of these stories around, someone created an agent and it continued to work and work and work until it did something it wasn't supposed to do, or, the some of those stories around I exposed confidential data from the company and made it available to everyone else. What is your thoughts, or how would you address I don't want to mess up. I'm fearful of this piece. How can I keep myself from getting in that position where, you know, in the best case scenario, it's only exposed in my company. In the worst case scenario, there's a story in your local newspaper, the New York Times, sort of talking about this, egregious thing that happened.
God forbid. None of us want to be there. We want
No.
puff pieces, not horror stories with our names in them. Fear with AI is a real blocker, and I think it's important to acknowledge that there's risk with any technology. Probably the newer and the more powerful the technology, the bigger the risk of something going wrong is. One of the things I love about measured results and the approach that your team takes is you don't start with the tech solution. You start with the business context and the business process. And that starting point is a great way to de-risk an AI deployment. Because rather than say, hey, what can we feed into AI? What might we get out of it as a starting point, which heightens the risk. You
Yeah.
start with what's the business objective, the business process we have, and then the thought is where can we sprinkle a little bit of technology, a little bit of new technology with AI to accelerate or make better some step in a process. And that's a much more limited approach, and it de-risks